So I'm not going to obviously stand for any length of time, but I'll go through the different parts of this. The first part is standing. The second one is called cloud hands. There are 3 swings, which are different than the swings of Master Zhou, although the first one is somewhat similar. And the final movement is the Taoist spine stretch. And I'll just do a few of each so that you get a chance to see what this looks like. I might say I've been working on this practice for 22 years, and I'm still developing it. So it can go on for a while. So you would just have standing to begin with, and then flowing into the movements. Doesn't look too hard, does it? So Tai Chi is a form of Qigong. It is actually the most popular form of Qigong in China. There are over 400 schools of Tai Chi in China. We are studying Taoist ones based on the original source from which they all came. Understand that when you're doing Tai Chi, everything I said about Qigong is no different. This particular form of opening your energy gates is a set that's been around for about 3,000 years. They've got it on stone walls in China that are 3,000 years old. It is one of the original progenitors of Qigong. Many things are very important, and the first one, which we started with, may sound very trite, but it is be here now. Be where you are. Be present in your body. You cannot do this thing of going through and releasing what's inside of you without sooner or later getting your mind inside your body. It is required to do that. And you simply do the practice when you gain the ability to do it, and it becomes a very different thing. And you can go to where you want to go. The next piece of this whole thing is moving. And Cloud Hands is a wonderful, very complete Qigong. In the time Bruce was in China, he saw over 400 movements that had the name Cloud Hands. So it's a very ubiquitous term. It's a metaphor in Buddhism and Taoism. Clouds are about the nature of what's in your mind. The sky never changes, but the clouds do, like all the problems people go through. Every blockage you feel inside your body is like a cloud. And the purpose of the exercise is to clear out the clouds until everything is like a blue sky. And that's a great metaphor. But what it means is that if your mind is going to go into your body, if you're going to be able to have your mind direct your chi to do what it wants to do, it has to have the way to do it. It's not going to happen because you want it to. But there are a lot of things that if you know what you're going for, if you have a clear path how to get there, and you work on it, you can do it. The big thing that goes on in Cloud Hands is that it takes the basic structural integrity that has been established in standing, and then it shows you how to link up your entire body to the energy of your body, so it starts becoming one piece. The Chinese term is a very evocative one. They talk about holes in a shirt. The shirt you have on is probably a complete shirt, but it would be quite different if it had 65 holes in it. And if it did have 65 holes, that would mean that very likely it would rip when you moved. If the chi inside your body can rip, what does that mean? It means that you get sick or feeble and weak. And anybody here like to be weak? If I had a weak pill, any of you like to buy a weak pill? Probably not. Nobody's really interested in that. Well, the purpose of Cloud Hands is to teach every way in which your body can connect your disconnected energy, to learn how to connect it, how to connect one disconnected piece to another piece. Or you could describe it another way. You want to have all the parts of your car's engine working together. If they all work together, then the car drives. The engine goes, but it does not work. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do if some of the parts don't work. The car just doesn't drive. So to get something to connect up, what is the greatest single thing? Conductivity. And what is that? Getting two things that are separated to work together. And that is how you do it with the body. And that's the whole point of Cloud Hands, how to get the chi in your body to be connected. In this one sense, if you look at something like Tai Chi or Bagua or Xing Yi or any other Taoist energy practice, you just talk about incredibly sophisticated systems for doing this. But if you get the basic connections together, you can work with any of the more sophisticated systems. The New York City Ballet hasn't got more movements than Qigong and Tai Chi. Every kind of movement you can possibly think of. But physically connected movement is not the same thing as energetically connected movement, because energetically connected movement is how you get all those channels in your body to connect. And I'll let you in on a secret. There are about 4,000 energy channels in the body. The stuff that's in acupuncture is not even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that. The point is that if you get the body working in a way so that it will start naturally connecting, that is the point. And that's why it's called Qigong. It's not called dance. As they put it in China, dance is not necessarily about developing energy. It is about emotional expression. It's about moving in a way that creates emotions that people enjoy. Qigong is something that should also heal illness and should upgrade the actual energetic strength of the human being. And there are other things that are called Shengong that also help your emotions, your mind, and the psychic field. But we talk about things physically. All these movements are to connect your qi and make it move balanced, make it stronger, and make it more vibrant. What is the point of, which is the point of Chinese medicine? Only this is something you could do for yourself. So I want you to think of one thing right from the beginning. Think of connection. Two things becoming connected until the two things become one. And then 50 things become connected until the 50 become one. So we're talking essentially about becoming whole. We're thinking about getting all the energy of your body to function as one integrated unit. And that's why when you start with standing, you are just getting your head, your pelvis, and your feet together. But now we're going to start moving a little. We'll be going back and forth between standing and cloud hands, which will give us the time we need to go through all of these parts. So let me introduce cloud hands a little bit here, and then we'll get up and start working on it. Yep. And if I will play with my computer correctly, you'll be able to see me. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the stance for cloud hands. And cloud hands we do in a wide mabu, horse stance. I don't know if you remember from your Tai Chi days, but feet parallel at shoulders width, we refer to as Wujibu. And then when you stepped out wider, that was Mabu. Well, we'll work on exactly what that is in a moment. The stance does something else, though, other than just being wide. A side-to-side stance makes you become more aware of the relationship between your legs and the bottom of your pelvis, which the Chinese have a particular way of describing. Actually, it's called the dong, D-A-N-G. And the dong actually starts from just above the knee on one side, goes through the perineum and over to the other side. So they think of that whole area as a unit. And it's one that actually can be opened up energetically. What did I do there? It allows the qi, if it's opened, to move between the upper part of your body and the legs smoothly. It actually, if it collapses in a bit, then you really have an interference with that. And that often happens when you are perhaps weighted on one side and you allow one knee to collapse in. You have to make sure that you keep the dong open. And this is a major issue in standing and in all of the movements. The whole point is to get the top and the bottom to communicate with each other. What the Chinese found is that you can get 1 unit, if you get 1 unit of energy moving in your legs, it will do as much for the total system as getting 10 units moving in the arms. So you really want to get the legs working well and the dong open. So they have a term for one of the energy systems in the body called the triple warmer or the 3 basins. The skill of the lower basin, which is referring to the area of the lower torso and the legs, actually is to produce qi. The skill of the upper basin, which is the upper chest, the lungs and the heart and the head, is its purpose actually is to use that energy, as we often do with hands and upper body. So we want to try and get how to begin opening up the lower basin of the body. And for that, we have a very simple procedure. So what I want you to do is to stand up, and I'll do some of this with you. We want to start first just with going into your basic standing posture. So if you start with feet together, and if you remember how to do it, stepping out with whole body movement and just going to shoulders width at the moment. And a term that we have used in our training is arriving at the base level. What that means is that we want not to be fully erect, but have relaxed the hips and the knees. And you'll find that there is a place that the body naturally drops to. It's not very far. It may be very small, but it's a very relaxed place. And what you find there is that you will have a lot of flexibility and bounce. As a matter of fact, Bruce describes it as the bounce of a 3-year-old. So you want to have a sense of very relaxed ability to bounce at this point. And that bounce is important. It's indicating that you have begun to relax the legs and the hips so that you can indeed make that connection between the legs and the torso. Now, for cloud hands, we, as I said, are going to work with Mabu, the wide horse stance, but we want to be very specific about it in this case. So the first thing is staying at that base level. You shift the weight over onto one leg, and it doesn't matter which one it is. And then you're going to step out as wide as you can with the other one, whatever that is. And it doesn't matter. There's not a right or wrong here other than it being as wide as you can. And then you want to bring that back in towards the center, 20 or 30%. So you're not going to do this as wide as you could possibly do it, but rather about 20 or 30% less. And then you want to not think about shifting weight. Let go of that thought, but instead think of pushing from one foot until you slide over into the other, and then push from that foot and go across to the other side. So you're just shifting the weight back and forth from side to side, no rotation, and really trying as close as you can to go to 100% on each foot. Now, you may not do that right at the moment, and that's fine. You do want to keep the back, the spine vertical. So notice that I'm not leaning from side to side as I do this, but the back is remaining vertical. And that's part of why you have to have that soft base level with your 3-year-old bounce. So just sliding back and forth. You are thinking about keeping the hips parallel to the earth. So in other words, we're not tipping the hips one way or the other. So the hips stay parallel to the earth, the back stays vertical. But basically, the body has an energy circulation mechanism. And you get a lot more chi moving through your body if it goes into the ground and then comes up than if you make it go up and then drop it into the ground and try to raise it. So if you're present in your body, you can feel your body. If you get present in your head, you think about your body and what it feels like. You don't actually feel your body. So they're not the same thing, because when you want to start doing things naturally, you haven't got the time to think about what your body's doing. You do it or you don't. And that's how it realistically goes down. So just keep shifting for a moment and let me look at what you're doing.
See?
Shoulders relaxed, Andrew. So really think of moving from your dantian. Don't let yourself tilt, Rosemary. So keep the back vertical. Yep. You don't want to let your center rise up into the chest so that you begin to tilt. Susan, don't let yourself rotate. You want to, at this point, we really want to be aware of exactly how we're moving. So no rotation. That'll come into it later. That looks good. I can't see you below about solar plexus, so I'm ah, great.
I have legs.
You do, great. That's good. So everybody think about keeping the movement parallel to the earth. Don't let it go up in the center and then down to the side. So you need to relax the hips enough and knees enough that you are at a level where you can do that. Okay, so relax for a moment. Anybody have a question about that?
Yeah, but I can't figure out how to ask it. When I do what you said about sort of pushing up with the one leg to move over to the other leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm visualizing it rather than feeling it. I have this sense of pushing up, and then my center is up, and then my center goes back down on the other side. And I don't think that's what you want.
No. So you want to have the intention that that push into the ground is actually pushing you towards the other side, not up.
Okay.
So that,
I'm not going to stand back up at this moment. I need to rest for a minute.
okay.
Okay, but I'm listening. So push from pushing it to the side, not pushing it up.
Yeah, so I don't know whether you can see me enough to see the difference here, but if you have that sense of going up, there is a push up with the foot, and then you go down on the other side, up to the center and down on the other side. That's not what we want. What we want is a very stable transition from one side to the other.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, you want the hips to stay parallel to the earth. So they don't go up and down, but rather transferring back and forth.
Okay, I see the difference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did that answer that question, Rosemary?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. So let's go to the next piece. So that would be one thing to practice, simply getting that transference back and forth. So one of the fundamental things that happens in all of Qigong is that in some way or another, we do from time to time go up and down. Even if it's not going lower and higher, there is the question of when you shift weight, what do you do with your hips? So the principle in Qigong is called a Kwa squat or a Kwa fold. You do not want to go down from your shoulders or your head. Lots of people, they want to go low and they are naturally trained to use their quadriceps to have their shoulders pump their quadriceps down. This is exactly what you do not want to do. That's a muscular action. And we're looking to engage qi in the body. So the basic principle is this. You start sinking from the crown of your head, and then when you get to your hips, you have to drop from the kwa, and that's how you go down. When you want to come up from that, you have to push up from your legs so that it goes through your kwa and gives a sense of something rising through your body to the crown of your head. So you go down from your kwa, and then you come up from your feet to your kwa, and your kwa is what is lifting you up, not your shoulders, not your head, not your ribs. And this is very important. So where and what is the kwa? Not a new concept for any of you, I think, but just to be sure we're clear. Roughly, the kwa really encompasses the whole hip area. But more specifically, we talk about it in terms of what is called the inguinal crease. Bruce tends to refer to it as the bikini cut. Well, that might be a way. This line in the hip here. And if you go halfway between the trochanter, the hip joint, and the perineum, right in the middle is the kwa point. And that point, the kwa point actually is in the middle of the body. It's not on the surface. We kind of locate it along that inguinal crease, but it's in the middle of the body. And one of the things about the kwa is that it allows us to fold and unfold. And we can do it in more than one way, actually. We're able to have it fold closed as we just sink down, focusing on the kwa. As you do that, this inguinal crease, this fold, can begin to close. And when you straighten up, it begins to open. We also can think about that folding open and folding close in our weight shift, because as you shift to one side, it actually begins to close that kwa. And then as it pushes to the other, it begins to open or unfold that kwa. And later on, that will also work in rotation as well. So we often use the terms fold and unfold when we're talking about kwa movement. So we have one more thing. When you do a kwa fold, your spine is vertical to the floor. So the energy in your spine can drop through your legs, and then when you come up, it can come up through your spine, straight up from your legs, rising up your spine naturally. So you want to find how your kwa can feel as though it's in the middle of your foot. So you don't want to have so this would be another issue talking about weight on the feet. If you have your weight on the outside of the feet, your kwa is no longer dropping through the middle of the foot. And so you want to make sure that the feet are flat on the floor. so that as you go down, you feel the pressure from your qua going straight into the sole of your foot and then pushing your foot into the ground. So the difference here between qua fold and qua squat is really kind of important to understand the difference. The qua fold, which is basically what we're doing in the movements in energy gates, is a movement in which the qua folds closed and you sink straight down with the back remaining vertical. And then you push up from the feet through the qua to the crown of the head, the back remaining vertical the whole time. The qua squat, which will appear in some other practices that we do, just not in this particular one, is a folding closed where the back bends forward without collapsing, but bends forward in equal proportion to the amount of the sinking down. So you have a movement that where the head and the back angle forward, that's a qua squat. Keeping the back vertical is a qua fold. Anybody have a question about that?
Is the qua squat kind of like the C curve that we talked?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The qua squat kind of like the C curve we learned?
No,
No.
don't confuse yourself here.
Okay.
The C curve is something in addition to that position of the spine. We will add a C curve into some movements, but to begin with, we want to really think about keeping the spine vertical. So don't worry about the C curve, even if you know about it. Okay.
Okay. I'll put that on the shelf.
I'm sorry.
I'll put that on the shelf.
Yeah, put that on the shelf for now. That's good. Anyone else have a question? So it's important. What I want you to do is to stand up and try this qua fold. Now, you don't need to do a qua squat, although we might play a little with that in a few minutes just to understand the difference. But I would like you to stand up and simply try doing a qua fold. And if you'll turn sideways to the camera, I'll be able to see a little better what you're doing.
Are we still in the horse stance or are we back in the regular stance?
For the moment, you could just do this in Mujibu, shoulders width.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have to sink way down, but you do need to be very aware of what's happening with your knees. So you want to get your knees to begin with to where they feel they are carefully in the center of your ankle. And then as you go up and down, the knees do not move forward.
Oh.
So when you find your beginning position, some of you may remember me talking about sitting down as if you were sitting on a stool behind you. So there is a sense of going back a little bit. You don't want to stick your behind out. That's not what we're doing, because that would be actually moving towards a squat, which is not what we're doing. But you do want to make sure that you don't push the knees forward. If you see what I'm doing here, I'm going down, pushing my knees out beyond the tip of my toes. That will actually eventually cause you to have sore knees. So your knees stay pretty much where they are, and you sit down and straighten up. And that's going to actually limit how deeply you can sink with this. And one of the ways to practice this is to take a light chair. This one's probably a little heavy for this, but just to demonstrate. So you would find where you can gently rest your knees against the chair and then go down without moving the chair. And so what you discover is that you're probably not going to go very far down, because what you don't want to do is sink down and push the chair forward. So that's a good way to practice this, to make sure that you don't fall into the habit of letting your knees project forward.
For that practice exercise, whatever, it's cheating if you bend forward, right? Because then you're just doing a fold or a squat rather.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it will really limit how deeply you can sink. So you discover that it's not necessary for you to do a deep knee bend here. It's really a matter of sinking down a little bit. It's really important as you do this that you allow your legs to relax. If you tense them up, you will tend to get pushed forward. So when we take this into cloud hands, the qua fold is the way you keep the back straight and don't lean. You want to use the qua to shift side to side, pushing with your foot so you go side to side. Your qua is still pressing into your foot on both sides. When you have shifted your weight all the way over, you still have the qua fold pressing into your feet. So try that cloud hands shift. So, and now what you're finding here, what we're talking about in getting at the base level, dropping down a little bit, is a qua fold. That's your fold. Not letting the knees collapse in, keeping the back straight. And then it's by virtue of the qua fold that you are able to shift back and forth from side to side, pushing from the foot. So the movement is very easy, very relaxed, just sliding from side to side. Really see if you can let your legs relax.
Yeah, well, I'll work on
You, good.
that. It's not happening right now. I can get my hips to relax.
Good. That's a start. Susan, keep focusing on your dantian as the center of the movement. That kind of helps. And everybody relax the shoulders, let the arms relax. Remember that any tension in the body begins to impede the movement of the energy. So a little further development on that. So let's look just a little bit more at standing before we stop today. And this can also be done seated if standing is not appropriate for you at any point. And indeed, in the middle of a standing practice, if you find that your body is saying, wow, I can't do this anymore, give yourself a break and sit down, but try to maintain what you're doing. So stand as we did in the last class. Try to find that location for your feet underneath the sidelines of your body. Have your head erect. See if you can allow your mind to sink into your body. Because if your energy is going to go from the top of your body down to your feet, it's going to have to move through your spine and your pelvis. So the first thing is that area between your legs, the dong, wants to have the sense that the energy in your perineum is going through your legs into your feet. Of sinking the energy down. Remember to keep your pelvis so that the sacrum, your tailbone, is pointing straight down to the earth. That helps prevent the pelvis going back too much, which can cause the chi to rise in your body and not go into your legs. Feel that your sacrum is straight. And what you're going to attempt to do is to have the energy that's coming from your spine penetrate your legs and come out of your feet. And that will be a felt sensation, not an idea, not a visualization, but an actual felt sensation. Let your pelvis relax and feel it drop without dropping your body. If you let your pelvis drop and you let your perineum go toward the floor, it will naturally apply traction to your spine. It will naturally allow your spine to straighten a bit. And the object here is just to stand and put your attention on your spine and see if you can let go of your spine until you can start getting a feeling of something dropping from your spine through your legs into the earth. Or in other words, sink your chi through your spine to the earth. Now, the whole trick of this, and what makes it hard, is that you have to keep your head straight and the crown of your head going toward the sky. And don't let your head drop. Your spine is dropping, not your head. There are two different words in Chinese. One word means to drop or physically go down, but your energy sinks. Your body doesn't. That's sinking your chi. Dropping your body is something different. That one is called chun, and the other one is called dun. Different words. So let the pelvis get heavy. Without the body dropping. And letting what is in the upper body go through your legs into the floor, down into the earth. As low as the feet go, the head goes up, but it's not with a hard rising or pushing, but an energy projection. So relax. So the purpose is just to get the energy of the entire body integrated. Once you have that, a lot of other things will become possible. So we will next time go further into standing alignments and more work on that. But this, I think, gives you enough to continue to expand your standing practice. Anyone have a question at the moment? Okay. Well, it's wonderful to have you here, and I hope you enjoy beginning to have a little bit of movement to add to your standing. And we will continue to expand this practice as we move along. Thank you. And our next class won't be until January, so I'll send you that date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a great holiday.
Thank you, you too.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Susan.
Goodbye.
I had a quick question.
Sure.
When standing, like when trying to tuck the pelvis, sometimes I just feel like I'm like trying to tuck it so much that I'm like leaning backwards. And assuming the answer is just don't do that, but
Well, that is part of the answer. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is to begin to understand how much is involved. So one of the things is that you have to have allowed your quad to fold a little so that you're not doing it here. You're doing it here. That gives you a lot more flexibility in the hips, and a lot more can happen. And making sure that you don't thrust the hips forward to try to tilt the sacrum down to the earth, but rather rotate the pelvis. So the pelvis can rotate without affecting the spine, other than that slight rotation begins to actually open up the vertebra of the lower spine.
yeah, I mean, it's probably it's like, I think I just probably do it too much, where like,
Yeah.
and that's another thing too of, but, because eventually, like, I don't feel like I'm thrusting, but just everything gets tight here in that crease. I don't know the names of any of the muscles, but
That's all right.
you know, and then it feels like I can let go of that tightness, but then I am coming back a little bit from that tilt, and then I kind of just go back and forth in my mind of like, oh well, like you're not doing it, but like it shouldn't be tight either. So I think it's probably just a smaller movement than I think it needs to be.
I think so too. Do you want to turn sideways to me and do it? Just let me see if I can see. I mean, unfortunately, I can't really see your that area.
Yeah, right.
Ah. Yeah, see, that's too much already.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, that feels pretty good. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So it really is almost just as soon as you get the sensation of like it opened a little bit.
yeah,
It's not shut. It's not what it was.
right,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's,
I-
I think that what you're doing is related to overthinking.
yeah. Yeah. I do tend to have a like, okay, well that felt better. So we'll just keep doing that until it doesn't. And then like try to come back from there. But then yes, I definitely overthink it. Okay. The other question I had,
Sure.
I meant to ask was, when you're like pushing with the foot,
Yes.
and you're focused um, I, is it okay to also think about pulling with the other foot? As so like as the one claw is opening and it's pushing down to shift. I kind of not imagine, but I get the sensation of a pulling with the other one as the other one shuts.
Right. After you, as or after you pass the midpoint, yes.
Okay.
Not prior to that.
What would be happening prior to that then?
The pushing and opening as you go from one side. So when you're here, this is opening, and there is a real sense of opening on that side.
Hmm.
And this side actually has begun to close, but that doesn't become an active um, function of the movement until really you make that transition through the center, when that closing is what's now moving you to this side.
Okay. So it really is like the opening is what's moving you. They're not both doing it and the combination.
No.
It really is one or the other. Like they're both happening, but one is doing the driving of
Yep.
is in gear or whatever. Okay. That helps.
Yep.
I always tried to get a sense that like they were both not in charge, but I don't know, that they were both contributing to the movement.
Well, they're both happening,
Right.
but the dominant functional force,
Yeah.
which is too much, saying too much, but it's one side at a time.
Okay. Yeah, that actually helps.
Yeah.
Because I would I'd always get in, because I never had the sense that I was like, oh yeah, I'm like pulling myself over there. I was like, well, it's kind of happening, and now it's happening. So it helps to let go, like that. Oh, well, that's how it should be. Okay.
Well,
Cool.
now it's clearer.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Thank you.
Sure. Other questions?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Oh.
So the Yang style.
Yeah, I am not in the right room for that.
Oh.
Otherwise, I'll be resetting every 3 seconds.
Okay.
Now I'll reset every 5 seconds.
Did I almost get to see Lyra before we started?
No, she was downstairs.
Oh, I thought I heard you talking to her.
Oh, that was Kamari.
Oh, I should have known.
Weird. Okay. Well, that's as much light as I have. But
It's all right. I can see you. So can you flow on your own, or you want?
Probably not. Probably not. I was
Okay.
I was thinking about that. I was like, that I could maybe. Yeah, no.
Okay,
No.
we'll flow together.
Thank you.
So begin Tai Chi. So sinking into the left, spiraling down, stepping out empty, rotate rising into Pung. Sinking down, twist and thrust and over, rising, pushing downward. Shifting and release, rotate, turn the leg, shift, embrace the moon, bending in, step forward, shift forward, twist step into ward off left, and shift, reset the right, sink into it and rotate, rising into ward off right. Rotate out and in, roll back, sink. Turn, sinking back and up, G. Forward and up to push down. Sit back, rotate, embrace the moon, rotate onto it and step. Shift, extend, twist step in, keep rotating into single whip. Turn on the left heel, right toe, drop the heel and up, rotate, turning to the side and rising to white crane. Rotate, back, step and brush knee. Shift forward, reset the foot, sit back into it, play pipa. Draw in and step forward, brush knee. Back, turn, brush knee on the other side. And one more. Play pipa again. And another brush knee. Back, expand a bit. Shift forward, rotate through and kick. Shift into elbow, rotate to back fist. Step as you pull down, circling the hip. Shift forward, punch. Then back and down, forward and up to push down. Sitting back, rotate on the left heel, rotate rising onto the left, cross hands, release. Rotate right arm, pushing down, turning on the left toe, shift back, step to the corner, shift, embrace tiger. Back and down, forward and up, turning, ward off right. roll back, turn, sinking and press, push down. Sit back, turn, single whip to the front corner. Shift, twist step. Keep rotating. Shift back, turn the leg, shift forward and step. Sweep to the ear strike, fold in, rotate and touch forward and then turn to punch. And back, repulse monkey. Draw in, step empty, strike, draw in, step empty, and strike. Draw in and step to the front and diagonal flying. Shift on to the right, reset the left, back and up, lift hand. Turn, like crane, back, step and brush knee. Forward reset, forming sword fingers on the left, S curve connecting up and pull down side. Step forward, shift, fan through the back. Rotate, step out with the left and back fist. Turning left as you pull down and in, up, kick, elbow, back fist. Stepping through, shift and punch. Back, embrace the moon. Step and ward off right. Roll back. Press forward. Push downward. Single whip. Wave hands like clouds. Turn on the left heel, right heel. Keep turning and step parallel and step in. Turn, step out. Turn, step in. Turn, stepping out. Turn, stepping in and forward. And back again to single whip. In, edge strike, push down.
After the first, I don't know what it's called. After all the brush knees.
Yeah.
Fist under elbow. Something was just muddy there. If we could just do that again.
Sure.
And then we changed
Changed a couple of things.
yeah, so fist under elbow, that was funny. And then there was I don't remember what it's called. After the ear
Yeah.
strike.
Yeah.
I don't remember what that posture is called.
That's fist under elbow.
Oh, it's another fist under elbow.
Well, that is fist under elbow. There's only one.
What's what's so after all the brush knees with the play pea paws, we do whatever that kick posture is. Do you know what I'm talking
Deflect,
about?
intercept, and punch.
Yes, that one. Deflect, intercept, and punch. So that one is a little something went wrong there. And then I know there's like a slight change, I thought, to
Yep,
fist under elbow.
yep.
And
And also going into deflect, intercept, and punch later.
yeah, I think those three spots, I was kind of like, what? Okay. And then there was one more spot.
Oh,
That was just I don't know, you like did something, I was like, what happened? Okay. Yeah, well, oh, it seemed like after every ward off right, we do press, and then it seemed like I'm doing something different, and I recall that like it changed, and like I think I'm still doing this, and it's just you just open and go down now, right?
no.
No, okay, so that might be a good one. Like there's something like I'm doing something and you're doing something else, and like
What's he
you're doing
doing?
it a lot, yeah. So like battery.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we can work through all of those.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
that's all right. That's all right. So go to push
Sure.
push downward first. So we're in press. So as you start this movement, your elbows are pushing the scapula in. And as you go back and down, you complete the back and down, the elbows pull the scapula out as you go into push down with the back of the hands. So as you're coming out of press forward, the elbows go in, then out, and then they come in as they start to rotate. And then they go out as you complete the circle rising.
Okay, yeah.
So you're doing two push downwards, one with the back of the arms, one with the front.
Okay,
Did that?
yeah, that's not what I was doing, so. Okay,
So let's see, if after the last brush knee, going into deflect, intercept, and punch. Yeah, that's a busy posture. So when you go back here, the arms are actually rising and perhaps spreading a little bit. And then as you turn, you're actually beginning to form that right fist. And then as you go forward, the fist and the hand are actually moving towards the same level. And then as you come to 100% on that foot, you rotate in and up and out with the kick and put the foot down, shift forward, connecting the fist as you come to your dynamic limit. Rotate forward as you do the back fist. So you're still at your dynamic limit on the right foot, and the left hand is pushing downward. And then you shift, and when you shift, the right arm goes down, the left begins to come up. You step through, and the right makes this.
can I pause you?
What?
I'm very sorry, can I pause? Because how is your left hand coming? When you do the punch, is your left hand supposed to go down? Because you're bringing it up, and I'm like, my arm's already there.
So when you've gotten to here,
Oh yeah, that's not what I'm doing. Okay.
okay, the left hand is pushing down. It's controlling this arm.
Okay. I never did that ever. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
so after
Wonderful.
you've done the elbow strike,
Mm-hmm.
as you rotate and the fist goes out, the left goes down,
Right.
pushes down.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then as you go forward, the left comes up to deflect as this pulls down around the hip.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you shift forward, the left is still deflecting, the right is coming forward. And when you complete your shift, you rotate into the punch. And this hand is continuously rotating and rising through that.
Yeah, okay. I think, you know, because I would just go like this and be like, you know, that it just felt weird and wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that's a lot better. Okay,
So do it once.
sure. Uh,
Uh-huh. Yeah, let the left arm rise a little more slowly.
yeah, okay. So it should be rising the whole way through.
Right.
So
Yep.
that was not a kick.
Yeah, see, you're already up there.
Yeah.
This is a very complex posture. So after you're here, you've done that back fist and you're doing pretty well up to there. Now you're going to step and notice that this has come up a little. It's come, I would say, a third of the way approximately.
Okay.
And then as you
Yeah,
shift, it folds up. And when you rotate, it twists over as the fist twists and punches.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those landmarks are a little more clear now. Like it really is just kind of the same. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's not doing, it's just getting ready to do work.
Yeah, because if you get that deflecting arm up too soon, it's stuck.
Right. And yeah. And then it's not really moving with, you know, and it's like, it's just kind of out there.
Yeah, and the problem is that your opponent will grab it and take you right on over before you punch.
But I wanted to punch you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So fist under elbow.
Yeah, I don't. I wish I had a thing. It was just, yeah, if you could do like the posture before it and then go through it.
Well, that's
You know.
easy because it's another push. It's withdraw and push. It's just that instead of coming from press forward, you're coming from this punch. So you go in, out, out.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah. I just having the whole.
Okay. So having completed that, a blank, okay, cross hands, which you're okay on, I think.
You know what? No, that was it. No, dude. that was the thing that like I thought I knew how to do cross hands, and then like I don't know. I've lost a step or something.
Okay, I'm going to do it so my front is going to be toward you.
Okay.
So if you go back, you're bending in. As you rotate that leg, you're coming in, but now the arms are rotating in. And
Mhm.
then as you come onto it, you're rising to this. And that's 100% on that foot,
Mhm.
so that you can just release that qua and the body will turn you, resetting the right foot parallel. And then you rotate onto the right, and that's that pull down with the right arm. Then turn on the left toe, come back into it and step to the rear corner. And that's going into embrace tiger.
It was it's after I didn't have the press. That's what it was, because like I wanted to go from here like to do that.
Uh-huh.
And it's the press that that I didn't have. So
Yeah.
like you went and did a press and I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you're right. So when you're
Okay.
on that left foot, you release the right, and then you rotate and shift onto it, and that turns this arm. Basically, it's not doing this. It's primarily just turning
Mhm.
a little, but it doesn't turn a lot. And then you turn on the left toe, come back in, step to the rear, and boom.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Of course, I had this all on you, and so my picture is going to be very small. That's not very helpful for you, is it?
Well, now you can watch later and point out all the things I think I'm doing right.
So now fist under elbow.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed weird. Like you have the strike, gather it. Yeah, there's just something like I don't know. The whole thing seems weird. The whole thing's weird.
I kind of see what the problem is. Okay.
Like normally I'm like, yeah, that posture. I like that posture. It's nice and it's forward and yeah.
I'll do it facing you.
Okay, thank you.
So you've come back from into single whip, and you shift back and turn that left leg, and this is coming up. And then as you shift onto it and sweep the right leg, notice that the two arms are changing. The left is going down, the right is going up in that shift. And then you sweep the right leg forward, and that opens the left at ear height. Opens the right, excuse me.
Mhm.
And you're weighted 100% on the left foot. You're not on that right at all. And this hand is slowly coming in. So you're controlling something down here as you rotate and strike that ear. And you're staying 100% on the left so that you have maximum yang energy in the right. Okay? You with me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Generally. Yeah.
Then you just shift. And this is folding. You're folding the right arm into a fist. The left is actually beginning to fold out a little bit. neither one of them is rotating. And when you get to 100%, that left leg rotates in and steps forward. And then as you shift forward, you're going to turn and punch. And that's when the left completes its deflection up.
Yeah, why was that so weird?
I, beats the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So shift, turn, shift forward, punch. Oh, you don't shift forward. That's, sorry. What a boom. Come on, David. Empty step. You, you rotate into the punch, but this is a back-weighted punch. You don't shift forward. Because you remember, originally, we didn't go into actively punching or
Yeah.
so actively punching. What we did was we simply indicated.
Right. Like, I also, because I kind of remember doing this sort of thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I just kind of remember having this motion of like, I guess the punch is more of like I'm poking them with my hand, like a sword hand to the liver or something. And so now I have made a new posture that makes no sense.
Yeah. So when you get here, you're letting yourself rotate more than we did before,
Okay.
so that you're facing in the direction of your right foot,
Okay.
but you're still 100% weighted on the right. You're going to just rotate into a punch.
That makes sense. Okay, so I need to step, but I got to rotate so that I can punch.
Yep. Rotate. And the thing is that this is punch, and then it comes right back into repulse monkey. So you're going to make that curve right back, drawing the foot in.
Right. Okay. Yeah, maybe just one more time.
Sure. You want it this way or the?
I don't mind looking at your back.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Having you face me, I'm like, okay, like I got to do the conversion.
Yeah. No, that's okay. So if we go from the end of the grasping sparrow's tail here, we go back, turn, step to the front corner, single whip, boom. Sit back, left rises, shift, left going down, right going up, rotate into the ear strike, shift in onto the right, rotate right, setting the foot out, and rotate left into the punch.
Okay, and then the last after the ear strike. Okay, just go back to the thing.
Oh, so I'm sorry?
I'm trying to ask a question and I couldn't start.
Okay. So I think the other one that we changed was when we after we turned to this back fist here. Yeah.
Well, keep going.
Okay. That you're going to just rotate left as this goes
Right.
through the S curve.
Yeah, that one made a lot of sense.
That's
Yeah.
just like the single arm walk.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most, mostly good.
So what would help you most here?
Nothing. At least I know I'm not crazy. And that cleared a lot of it up. And then I know we've done it a bunch. I just want to make sure I got cloud hands, that it's like you rotate, turn the ball, just go, you shut, then rotate and turn the ball while you step, go. No, that doesn't make sense. Oh yeah. And then yeah, can we look at cloud hands?
Yeah. I'm just going to face you for a moment.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, let me go back to the. Oh. So when you've come to this side and you're going to rotate, that turns the ball. And that actually is the beginning of the shift as well. So you're beginning to turn, and when you get 100% on the new foot, you want to be straight ahead. So you have some place to turn to draw that leg in.
That's it.
And then you turn the ball 100% straight ahead on the new foot, turn and step. Turn the ball 100%, step, turn the ball, step. So
That's
use that reversing direction to turn the ball.
right. Not the step which has a turn, right?
No, not the step that has a turn.
Which like
The reversing
brain.
direction on each side.
right. So it's the forward turn the ball. I'm going the wrong way, but that's fun. Step, turn the ball 100%. Step, turn the ball. Yeah, okay. The ball turns as you shift.
The ball turns, yeah, and it's still turning.
Right. And then, okay. And then it's 100% so that you have something to step with.
Yep,
Maybe don't do it backwards though.
yep. I won't do it back.
Okay. It is really raining.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I now know what I want to do. My body doesn't want to come with me.
Okay. I
Thank
won't
you.
give you more on that at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's full. Yeah.
So you want to flow again?
That would probably be a good idea. Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Hopefully, all of these pieces come together a little more.
I think so. It's all there.
Good.
Yeah.
So begin Tai Chi addressing the earth. Into the left and step. Hung. Ji. You. On. Shift. Release. Turn. Shift forward. Step. Shift and ward off left. Reset the right, sink into it and rise to ward off right. Roll back. Turn. Press forward. Push down. Push down. Sit back and draw in. Step back and shift. Twist step. Single whip. Turn on the left heel, right toe, drop the heel, lift hand. Turn, sinking, rising to high pat. Rotate and draw in and step, brush knee. And play pipa. Brush knee. Brush knee. And another play pipa. And brush knee. Then sit back, expand, form the fist, rotate and kick, elbow, back fist, step, push down, deflect and shift forward, punch, withdraw, and push down, sit back, turn the left heel, rotate rising to cross hands, release, rotate right, turn the right arm, left foot on the toe, draw into the left and step to the rear corner. Shift and embrace tiger. And then ward off right, roll back, press forward, push downward. Sit back and turn, single whip to the front corner. Shift. Sit back, turn the leg, shift forward, sweep, shift onto the right, rotate left to punch, withdraw back in and step for repulse monkey, and repulse monkey, and repulse monkey, and step to the front, diagonal flying, shift on, reset, sit back and lift hands, turn, high pat, brush knee, shift forward, reset, S curve, up, pull down, step, shift, bend through the back, turn on the right toe, step around, back fist, rotate left, S curve, in, elbow, back fist, step, deflecting up, punch, withdraw, Step forward and ward off right. Roll back. Sink. Press forward. Push downward. Sit back and turn. Single whip. Turn on the left heel, right heel, step up, turn the ball, step in, turn the ball, step out. Turn the ball, step in, turn the ball, step out. Turn the ball and step in. And single whip. And then the next posture.
Nice. I got crowded with cloud hands and then and then got confused, but that's okay. And somehow got muddy in rush knee. I think I like somehow missed to play Peepaw, but everything else seemed pretty good. I felt like I knew where I was going.
Making headway.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
nice.
Well, it doesn't seem like we should add anything yet.
I don't think so, David.
It's all right.
So,
It is what it is.
but I appreciate your patience.
Oh, I love it. I am delighted to see you.
Yeah,
Sorry to hear you're so tired.
yeah. It's coming. I think there's an end to that. So hopefully,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Getting ready for the holidays.
Yep. I think we were gonna plan on maybe trying to go grab a. I guess I was gonna go grab a tree. But I don't want to go cut a tree in this weather. So
No, see, I don't know if it's going to be better tomorrow even.
yeah. So we'll figure something else out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a little ways away yet.
Right. Right. And we're pretty lax. So
How's Kaya doing?
good.
Oh, good.
Although right now it sounds like Lyra and her are having a disagreement, but generally no, good.
Isn't that the way of children?
Yeah, apparently so.
Particularly, they go through stages where they feel, for whatever reason, that they have to
Yeah,
defend their individuality.
right. Just too many you can't do's or not that ways, and they're just like, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Her new big thing is, I'm gonna have dessert. And you're like, well, we gotta have like some real food too. And she's like, no, I'm gonna go get some dessert now.
Oh,
And she's very clever. She said to Kaya, like, oh, I'm gonna have dessert, and Kaya said no. But Kaya like was hanging out upstairs mostly that day. She had a migraine. So Kaya tells me that Lyra's like, and like walks off into the living room. Kaya goes to the bathroom and like shuts the door, and Lyra walks right in to me. I was at my desk. It was a work day, so I wasn't like super paying attention. And she goes, well, Mama said that I could have a dessert, but that she wasn't able to get it because she's not feeling well and she's going to go upstairs. So can you go get me a small brownie? And I was like, yeah, that all pans out. They were talking. Kaya went to the bathroom. She's not feeling well. I'm in the kitchen grabbing a brownie. Kaya comes out of the bathroom and goes, no, what are you doing? It it was like the perfect lie. Like she waited until like I went in the bathroom. Like
Yeah. Ooh, she's beginning to figure it out.
yeah. She
Oh dear.
got it all together.
uh,
No, I know.
Rowan.
Everyone's good.
Oh, good. Rowan's good.
Yeah. He's he gets he's very hitty. But and it's funny to how quickly you forget. And then Kai's like, yeah, like, and then I remember that like Lyra used to like throw tantrums and do the same thing, and then like try to eat doorknobs.
Yeah.
So like, you kind of see the contrast, and you're like, oh man, like he's really more emotional than she is. And then like, no, it's just you've forgotten 2 years ago already. But he's good.
Good.
Yeah. You can say he communicate a little bit,
Uh-huh. Good.
It's like he knows more words, but he really only likes to ask what things are. He goes, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that?
Uh-huh.
But he
Store
like,
them.
yeah, Lyra, I could be like, oh, how about you say, can you say A and whatever? I play a little game. They get her to repeat letters, and he's like, nah, I don't really care. Just what's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? But then it'll be like, I want that, or like, let me down. It just randomly will say like a full sentence, and then just won't talk for a few days. You're like, okay.
Oh, well.
I guess you're there. So, but yeah.
In
Oh,
time.
good. It's too much work. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can quit one of those jobs one of these days.
Yeah. One of these days, right? Oh well.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, good.
Good. Nice.
Tell Kaya if she could ever figure out when she could meet me for lunch.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you guys
Get a
had talked about that. Cool.
babysitter.
Yeah.
Or maybe on a day you're not working. Maybe, I really kind of miss seeing her. And
I know. No, we talk about it frequently, how we're like, maybe we could just like be done with, everything, and then
you're not going to be done for a long time. That's why
Yeah.
I thought, well, maybe just meet her for an hour, maybe on a weekend.
Yeah. I need to get less busy during the week so that the weekends aren't so full of like, okay, quick, catch up with everything, so that
I can
you know what I mean?
imagine. It's
not sustainable.
Yeah. Well, send
Yeah, I'll
them,
remind her.
send them all my love.
Okay, absolutely.
Give Lyra and Rowan big hugs.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. All right.
All right.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too, and have a nice holiday.
Yeah, thank you.
And I forgot to look what the date was for the next class, but I'll send it to everybody.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Try to get more sleep.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Bye.